Hello, everybody. Hi, and welcome to this Lords of the Fallen art live stream, where today we will be designing some armor, or rather, you guys will be helping us design some armor. I am Matthew. I'm going to be hosting this live stream today. I hope you're all having a wonderful day so far. It's so good to see so many of you in the chat already. Darth Vader's here, apparently, which is lovely. My name is Matt. I'll be hosting. I'm joined by Alex, the incredibly talented art director for Hexworks and Lords of the Fallen. How are you doing, Alex?
I was doing fine until you said incredibly talented, and now I'm blushing and I'm feeling even more stressed than I am usually.
Well,
But it's gonna be fine.
there's already a masterpiece on screen that your terribly handsome face is covering up. So I'm just going to move you over there to the left. In our chat today as well, we have Callum, our social and community manager, who's going to be helping gather your guys' questions in case we miss any of them. For those who don't know what we're doing today, we released a poll on Twitter. Let me just switch to that. Where we asked Rogar versus Umbral for a vote on designing a piece of armor that's going to be making it into the actual game. Is that right, Alex?
Yeah, totally. I must say I'm not surprised that Umbral won, but at the same time I didn't thought it would be, such a tight poll. So good one.
When the poll first went up, I think Umbral was winning by about 90% to 10%. And then as more votes rolled in, it did become a bit closer. But I'm very, very happy personally that Umbral won because that's the one that I voted for. So, yes. So, for those who didn't know, this was a poll that was up on Twitter and we linked out to the other communities as well. So, make sure you're following all of those on our Twitter and Instagram and Reddit and things like that so that you can take part in future little things like this. But this time, Umbral won, originally by a landslide, but by the end, only very narrowly. So what that means is today, during this live stream, we're going to be designing a piece of Umbral armor that is going to be a community piece of armor. So if you are subscribed or you walk the Umbral path in-game, shall we say, and you choose to join the Umbral faction as your PvP faction, you'll be able to obtain this piece of armor. There will be unique armors for all the factions, is that right, Alex? But this one will be designed by the community.
Yeah, exactly. We'll be doing some free content for the future, and we thought it was a good thing to start with you guys because we've been always very close to the community during all our process of creation, and when I had the opportunity to do a painting and live stream, I just thought it would be actually a super good idea if you could influence what would come in the game. Of course, there's going to be boundaries. I'm going to actually just show you how a creative process goes on. Plus, as you see, we're in live, so there are some chaos that can happen, and the end result will change a bit when it will be done and finished, but we'll go as far as possible in those 2 hours-ish, I think.
Yep, so we're live streaming until 6 o'clock English time today. So that's about 2 hours from now. We'll take a little bit of a break in the middle for a few minutes. But basically, throughout the live stream, we'd love for you guys to ask any questions that you have about the game, or more specifically about Alex and his artwork and the creatures he's been designing and things like that. But we'll do our best to answer any questions that you guys have. And also, we'll be pushing out choices to you for this armor set. So things like when we're designing the chest plate, the detailing on that, things like what kind of helmet, maybe a hood, sort of maybe a mask, that sort of thing. And we'll be pushing that out to the chat for you guys to have some input on how this armor turns out. Like Alex said, there may be some limitations because otherwise the devs will get terribly angry at us if we do something too crazy. But we'll do our best to implement all of your guys' feedback. And I'd be very, very happy if we could put some kind of big hat on the character because I love a big hat. But, well, I'm not part of the audience, so Alex doesn't have to listen to me. Let's switch back.
I was not, actually, so, it's okay.
So, should we get you warmed up, Alex? Should we get you going?
Let's just jump in. So, yeah, I'm sharing. Perfect. So everything is going to start as usual with the terrible blank canvas. So what we know is that we are going to do a Umbral character, right? That's what the poll came out. So of course I did very little preparation for this, meaning that I had to go and ask to the game designers and our game director what we would need, like some type of armor, etc. So since we're going to do a Umbral faction, we're going to do a heavy armor. So one of the the heaviest protection you can have in the game, which already brings a lot of types of constraints and design rules that are going to come as we are painting. Plus, we're probably not going to design a weapon for this character, but maybe at some point I'll start throwing out some ideas about it. Mostly, it's very high chance that since it's a heavy guy, we'll use a heavy weapon like a halberd or something like this, if you want to think about it. Other than that, the art direction is always, ponderated by game design and storytelling. So I asked what kind of character this armor would fit with, and we're gonna do a character from the ancient civilization of Umbral. So just a little insight on those guys. There is a very particular character that you can meet in the hub of the game that's named Molu, and he is one of the last guys of this ancient tribe that was worshipping Umbral in the millennia of the past. They lived mostly underground, and they were worshipping a secret god of Umbral. So they have very specific characteristic. I won't spoil the whole design of Molu, even if I think you can see it in some of the trailers already. But for instance, they have several arms. They are strange-looking creatures, so they are not exactly human. So the first thing is that we have to transpose this weird creature design into a human outfit, because we're going to do an outfit for a player, and you're going to be a human. So for this, we need 2 legs, two arms, 1 chest, 1 head, not 6 arms and 2 crippled legs and stuff. And there are a lot of design choices that comes with this storytelling. The worshippers of Umbral, they are kind of creepy guys that love eyes, that love organic stuff. And actually all the stuff that I like too. So I'm kind of happy that we are doing a Umbral fit for now. Right now I'm just gonna start posing like a very basic silhouette. Since it's a character design, we're not gonna put him in a fancy posing or whatever, because the important thing of this kind of design is that it's gonna be used for 3D afterwards. So first drawing and then using this so we can transpose this afterwards in 3D and then into the game, into different pieces, cut it out, etc. So since it's going to be a heavy silhouette, I'm just doing it a bit bulky, and then we're going to go and jump into the real design.
So whilst you build that up a little bit, we've had a few questions come in already. Some really great ones. There's some that I can handle whilst you bulk out this character. So the first one was, can we talk or hide helmets to show characters' faces? There's no option to hide helmets in Lords of the Fallen for a few reasons. One, it's very genre specific to embrace the armor that you're wearing. But it would also make for unfair PvP if you had specific armor that might give an indication of how your character is going to play or build that you could then hide. It might give an unfair advantage. So thank you for that question. Another one from McLean Appleby, which is a fantastic name. Thank you so much for letting me say that. How does the cultist class work with the fire magic? Do you hold the staff and throw fireballs, or put it away to cast? So not specific to any type of magic here, McLean, but all characters have 3 sort of main ways for attacking, which is the weapon attacks, the lamp attacks, and your catalyst attacks, which is what allows you to cast the magic, your magical catalyst. Each of these catalysts can be School of Magic specific, so you have Rogar catalyst, Radiant catalyst, Umbral catalysts, and you can switch between all of these options: combat, ranged combat, lamp combat and magical combat on the fly during a battle, with no tabbing out, no spamming left on the D-pad to select things. It's all done via an intuitive trigger system, so making the combat very fast and fluid, hopefully. One for you, Callum, if you don't mind, from Nesuno, another fantastic name. What's your custom brush set in Photoshop?
Oh boy.
Here we go.
You know, so first of all, I know who you are, Nesuno, and I love you. But secondly, it's a very common question. Actually, my brush set is the same brushes I used since we were at school together, Nesuno. So I always based myself on the traditional art that's how I learned to paint before digital art. So I try to use, especially at the beginning when I'm doing digital art, any kind of brushes that can recall me the sensations of when I'm painting acrylics or oils on a real canvas. I like to block shapes and in a bulky way, and kind of carve the silhouette inside of it. That's also why I'm using a white canvas, where I can very easily come and make holes or grow the shapes out of the character. Mostly I turn around like 3 different brushes, not that much more, and then after, when I'm going into details or very specific texturing, then I can get a bit more specific.
I think a lot of the creators that I watch and have spoken to have a similar process, where people think there's some kind of magical Photoshop brush that's going to be able to transform their artwork, when really it's just the same classical techniques, just in a digital sort of workspace, right?
Yeah. I think it's like, there's a French expression saying that it's not the hammer that does the worker, and it's a bit the same here. You can have a lot of different tools, and it's of course better to have the best hammer at your disposal, but basically it's the hand that's going to drive everything. So the brush itself is just one of the many tools you can use.
I really like what you're doing, building out the pauldrons there. I'm already interested into what they're going to turn into.
Yeah, I don't really know yet. It's more of the chaos, but then we can probably start, because I left the head kind of blank. Mm-hmm. So let's just ask for the chat what they would prefer between, let's say, since it's an ancient civilization of Umbral, we can do either a hood, those kind of necromancer hoods that could work very well with a contrast with our bulky armor, or a mask, because they worshipped the Umbral by hiding their faces also, or helmets that will probably have a skull part somehow. So if you want to vote or shout into the chat, I don't know how you want to do it, Matt, between hood, helmet, and mask.
Should we spam this time around? Maybe we can get Callum to set up a poll next time, but let's have a good old-fashioned chat spam. Helmet, mask, or hood? Was those the options, Alex?
Yep, exactly.
Oh, he's already beaten us to it. He's done a poll.
He's so good.
Why don't we spam and do a poll? What should I vote for? I'm going to vote for hood, because I love a hood. Mask, oh wow, mask is creeping ahead there. 44% want a mask, but it's evening out now. This is actually quite tense, watching this poll go back and forth.
Maybe we can cheat. Yeah, we can maybe cheat and do a mask and a hood.
Peter Carl Peter again, and these names are fantastic. Well done, everyone. Peter Carl Peter says metal mask with a hood, as does King
exactly.
So
we can do that, or we can do also a mask integrated in a helm. It's also a possibility. Let's see how the poll is. If everything is really tied up, then we'll do something special.
I'm seeing a lot of Team Hood, Hoodie Gang, Hood Gang rise up.
Hood Gang.
Ooh, Francesco Biaque says a Lovecraftian helmet with a black hood. I know that Lovecraft, at least the art style, is one of
that's a good idea too. Yeah, that's one of the things with Umbral. We can inject a bit of
okay, Alex, would you like to hear the results of the poll?
Yeah, let's go.
Mask had 36%.
Oh, come on, guys.
Hood had 32%, and helmet had 30%. That is
Oh,
such an even split.
okay, so
Mask was at
let's
the top.
say
Let's do a heavy mask with maybe some hoodish elements.
maybe we can do, yeah, we can try to do a mix of those three. Let's start by the one who won the hood, and then
No,
we
the
will
mask
add.
one. The
Oh, the
mask
mask.
won
Sorry.
by
Okay, okay, okay.
4%.
So mask. Okay, so mask. I'll just block the shape. We'll see what you're gonna do on it. The tribe, the Notura tribe. Let me see. Noruta tribe. I misspelled them. The Noruta tribe. They had one specificity of they were taking off. They had like fascination for eyes, and sometimes they were taking off their own eyes to place them somewhere else. So probably something with the mask could be, those a very creepy eyeless mask, something that we can have here. The character Molu actually has a very huge beard and with lilies and flowers inside of it. Maybe it's something also that we can have on the mask, like a fake metal beard that's integrated in it, and maybe we can even transform it into, since it's umbral, tentacle. So maybe we'll do like tentacle beard mask. That maybe is
I like
of the
that.
old thing.
A tentacle beard mask with gibbous eyes. That's very Lovecraftian.
Let's add the hood around it, so it's not completely alone, and we can give a good shape to the hood also.
So while you're just building out some details there, we've had a few other questions come in.
Go.
When we defeat a boss, will they drop their entire armor set? Was one of the questions we've seen a few times. The answer to that is mini bosses have a chance to drop either a weapon or an armor piece. However, the sort of larger bosses, armor and weapon can be found or purchased in the game with specific in-game currencies, the umbral currency, if you will. So you can buy from in-game shops, not real money shops, obviously in-game currency shops, armor and weapons from the main bosses, and mini bosses have a chance to drop either their weapon or their armor piece upon defeat. Good question, thank you. Another question is, will there be a PvP arena? It's in talks at the moment, and we're leaning heavily towards it to strengthen the PvP, but there won't be one for launch, so please stay tuned for that one. Question for you, Alex, from Durand. Yep. Duran. Do you have a reference board on the side to inspire you during the shape research phase?
During the shape research, nope. I do some of my research before, just to have my head around. For example, for this one, I just went and I'm gonna do a very. Can I do a sneaky peek?
You can do a sneaky peek if it's not too spoilery, I'm sure.
No. This let me try. Yeah, very sneaky peek. This is the Molu guy I was talking about. Okay, NPCs you're gonna meet into the hub. So I just went around, checked some of those just to refresh all the elements I needed, and then I actually try to don't have too much references, because I am a very strong believer into personal experience and digestion of all the stuff you already saw. So my personal references, my the books I read, the characters I love, the movies I saw again and again, and all this is always feeding you constantly. And so basically, I don't really need to go and nitpick what I already know by heart or already digested in my art style. That said, if there is very specific things that needs to be injected in the design, of course, in this case, I'll have to go and open it back. Especially now that we're in a particular situation where we're very close to the end of the game, because we're out in like 3 weeks now. So the game has its own references now, meaning that if I need to know what kind of symbolism I'm going to use or anything that's from this faction, the game has already all the answers. So I don't need to go and find, a external reference for this. And while I'm painting, I'm someone you see I don't use a lot of layers. I basically have one. But that means also that I like to transform my my design while I'm painting. Sometimes, I see, oh, this is a very interesting shape, so let's try something here. Oh no, it's not fitting. Let's cut out. Let's push the arm on this side. Let's change the hood. Let's do stuff. So I'm never blocked by any reference or trying to get to a very particular goal, except of course if it's required by design or game design. Like, hey, it's a necessity that this monster has a giant mouth, so it can eat the player at one point. Okay, so whatever is happening here, I have to go and find how to make this giant mouth, and then I'll start. Okay, how does a shark mouth works? How does this bobby worm horrific creature grabs fishes in the sea or stuff like this?
I suppose at this point as well, Lords of the Fallen has been your life for the past several years now, so you're so
Yeah.
intimately familiar with uh, the core sort of design elements of each faction or creature type that the need for like a reference system is kind of long past. But
Totally.
we're seeing a lot of comments asking for a creepy Cthulhu octopus mask, so I
I know
think
what you want,
I think you're well
We're
on the way
we're
there.
going there. We're going there. If you want to ask another question, it's not for right now, but the poll can be going a bit for.
Hmm.
So basically, this civilization is a very ancient one. So we have three paths that we can take. It's especially for the material the armor is going to be made of. So we can either go for something very ancient, like ancient stone, because they were worshipping from under the ground. So it can be, ancient mineral that they sculpted for the pieces of armor. Or we can go more bones and skeletons. So like armor that recalls the shape of skeletons, bones, and flesh. Or we can go more organic, and meaning that some of the pieces are looks like almost made of flesh, and like umbral flesh, so this white clay flesh somehow, which is more organic shapes. And we can have, I'm going to show you, like, for example, encrusted eyes that would be in this kind of
Now you're talking my
design.
language.
Yeah, of course.
Gross and custard eyes. Okay, so to summarize those, let's have a word for each of those threes. Gross flesh was the last one.
Yep.
The
Or
one before
organic.
that was sort of skeletal kind of
Yep.
armor,
Yep.
and the one before that was ancient armor. Was that? Would you say?
Yeah, or
Considering?
stone. Let's say stone.
Okay, so let's have a poll if you don't mind, Callum. Let's have ancient stone armor, Skelly Boy armor, and squishy flesh armor. Wrap that up in community language and hand it to the chat, please. Oh, I'm seeing a lot of bone emojis already.
Of course.
You guys don't want disgusting flesh armor? That's probably my favorite. Although I'm privy to a few more pieces of concept art than you guys are, and I love the more disgusting a character, the better. Especially in this genre. Umbral flesh, that's the way to call it. Absolutely. So we have a question, a couple of questions.
Yep.
One for you, Alex. Were you involved, or were you the art director for the original Lords of the Fallen, or did you come in when Hexworks was formed to do the
Nope. Yeah,
reboot?
I was called just for Hexworks, so I was
Summoned.
not involved. Summoned. Sorry.
Summoned
Yeah.
from the umbral depths for
Exactly.
Lords of the Fallen. A second question is, how is the lore integrated into the game? Is it just item descriptions and NPC dialogue, or will it have lore notes sprinkled throughout the levels, that sort of thing? We have a few agents, and Chazar is in the chat, and he is our resident lore master. And he says the lore sits at the heart of everything in the game. Locations, characters, dialogues, directions, designs, animations, all shaped by the narrative. As such, everywhere one looks, there is a lot of unspoken environmental storytelling. They always have voiced NPCs with their own quests and journeys that the player can influence or cut abruptly short. And there are also the more classic cutscenes as well. There are also interactive elements in game known as stigmas, where you can use the power of the Umbral to dive into the kind of history of certain environments and characters within the game. So plenty of lore drops. I am loving that you have left the little eyeballs on those shoulder pauldrons there.
Yeah, you know, some
Let's have
stuff.
a
I'll just do it for you.
let's have a quick look at the poll. I'm going to vote Umbral Flesh, of course. So the poll currently looks like an even split between Bones and Skeleton and Umbral Flesh. No love for the Ancient Stone.
Yeah, let's go for this and that's perfect. Let's do that. So in this case, we'll, flesh goes over bones, so that's even more practical. We can just basically have some places where it's going to be the flesh emerging, and from it sometimes like spikes of bones coming out. I think like if it was a living armor of some sort.
Almost as if the bones are bursting through the Umbral
Exactly.
Flesh. Thus combining the two. You are a people pleaser, Alex. Look at that. Just getting 2 out of 3 in there like it was nothing. Bones and Skeleton did have the lead by 2%. So if you could draw 2% more bones than you do flesh, that would be great.
Ah, perfect.
And I'll be measuring the pixels later on to make sure that you're accurate.
Oh. I'll ask you your secret to do this. It will be very good for my reviews. Yeah. I told you to put 45% of flesh, and then I'll just count the
but
pixels.
It's actually only 43. I'm terribly disappointed.
Yeah.
We have another one from Durand. Wow, Duran. Who knew? Very interested in this game. Hungry like the wolf, they might say. What was your biggest challenge on this project as an art director, Alex? That's from Durand.
Well, there were several. I mean, like, I'm not gonna say a big secret here, saying that production of a video game is kind of hard and a big challenge at any regards. And me, here I'm on behalf of the entire art team, but they did the most of the biggest and hardest work. I was just here to add blood, candles, and skulls, as I say all the time. They did the really hard work. Most of my time was having fun and creating and trying to shape a world where the player would have fun with. So for the challenge, I think when I came in, there was the legacy of the first game and how we were transposing it and transforming it to follow what we wanted to say in our story. That was one of the biggest challenge. And on a more, let's say, personal standpoint, myself, I was coming in from a more independent part of the industry. The previous game I worked on, Other Side, was at a much smaller scale, but also a place where we could inject much more easily personal thoughts, personal designs, and going very arty, etc. What I learned with Lord of the Fallen is how do we conceal let's say mainstream desires and designs and things that will be appealing for a bigger mass, as well as very arty and personal designs and art style. And that was one of the biggest challenges because I basically had to learn as well as I was doing it. But all the rest, it has been more or less of a blast. Now we've been working a lot. It's a new studio. We work fully remotely. And when you think about it, creating a new studio at the same time as doing a full big game like this one, I think we can be kind of proud of what we accomplished here. Because for a first game of the studio, I think it's gonna be really, really awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well, being remote allows for, once you get used to the workflow of it, such powerful collaboration as well. You can hire talent from all over the world, and that means you get the best of the best. And then they come together in this sort of remote workspace to quickly ideate and bounce ideas off of each other. And it's like you were saying earlier, it's important to make sure that in the concept art stage, you're taking into account the playability side of it, designing if a character needs to be eaten by a boss, then, it needs to have a certain type of mouth that's able to do that sort of thing.
Yeah, totally. And so myself, I'm you probably noticed that with my great accent that I am French, but we have people from all around the world. Our game director is from Spain. Our creative director is from Romania. We have like people from America, from even Argentina, Brazil, Denmark, everywhere. So it also comes with a way of communicating, of how we're going to work together, and respecting ourselves and our different visions, but also setting strong goals and strong vision so everybody is on board. I really like the common depiction of a game studio like a pirate ship somehow. So you have like the captain that's going to give you the direct orders, lieutenants that are giving depending on their pole, if you're taking care of the cannons, or you're doing the rowing boat, or you're repairing the ship, or making the ship sail. That's the programmers, of course. And you have like some are more like decorating the ship. And you have like the art director. Yeah, I'm on this side, and I'm more or less the guy for this art team doing the compass. So I'm like, hey, I think the good direction is more or less north by northeast. So let's go over there. Are you sure? Because there's like a huge tempest around. Yeah, but let's just try. Let's just try.
Don't question me, you scurvy dogs, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. But it's a good way, to understand how the just working all together, because we're often saying that a video game is a hard to craft, and it is absolutely true. And why it is hard? Because we're very different type of people: a game designer, a programmer, an artist. We have like different mindsetting, different tools, different like even a way to envisage what's a video game, and we somehow have to work all together. So that's somehow the role the directors are taking. They're not here just to bark orders. It's the smallest part of the real job. The real job is to give like a common direction, so everybody is happy to follow it as much as possible.
I think it's a really good analogy. And not only because it's got pirates in it, frankly.
Of course, I added the pirates.
A couple of questions that I can handle whilst you're doing some really beautiful detail work here, I must say. Are there going to be any new features in New Game Plus? And yes, there absolutely are. So throughout Lords of the Fallen, there are ancient anchors at which you can rest and level up your character, reset the world, that sort of thing. And there are growing anchors that you grow from... vestiges, not anchors, that's a dev word, excuse me. There are ancient vestiges that you can rest and level up at, and there are growing vestiges that you grow yourself using a vestige seedling. You can place these at certain points throughout the world, wherever you find an umbral bed of flowers. In New Game Plus, there will be no ancient vestiges. There will only be vestiges that you grow yourself, which, as you can probably immediately understand, makes for a much more hostile playthrough for New Game Plus, as well as all the traditional things, enemies getting harder, that sort of thing. Another one, which is probably because people have been joining us a little bit late, just asking, is this armor going to be in game, that sort of thing. So since we're a bit into the stream now, I'll just do a quick recap. Today's live stream, we are live designing this piece of armor with input from you guys in the chat right now. This will form part of a community armor set that will be available in game as one of the umbral only armor sets. What that means is there are factions in the game that you can choose to align yourself with, and those that align themselves to umbral. The community can donate umbral currency or faction coins to shrines, and after reaching global milestones they can unlock certain things for their community. So Umbral and Radiant and Rogue are all working to unlock their own faction community prizes, if that makes sense. And this armor set will be one of those community milestones. I'm absolutely loving how chunky this guy is. Look how powerful.
We said big boy, so we'll say
so powerful.
Big boy. Big boy is for big boy, so let's do big boy.
These tassels under the pauldrons are they going to be teeth or little tiny tentacles?
I was wondering. So that's why I'm saying I'm staying very loose, because just throwing like a few brush strokes like this, and it's already like shaping things that could look organic. And exactly that's what I was thinking. Like, is it going to be just bones decoration, like bone fingers, or teeth?
Well, as
And
soon
this,
as you added in those little details, especially with the eyes on that left pauldron, it now looks
yeah,
to me like the upper skull of some kind of
yeah, exactly.
crustacean, some kind of like shrimp,
Totally.
kind of lobster monster or something. It's
Could
amazing what just a
actually
few tiny little brushstrokes can do. Oh yeah,
add like this, I
that's
don't
a
know the name
big,
in English, but like this, the shrimp nose
yeah,
somehow, the roaster, or
very cool. So Coupe asks how many hours to finish the game. We think circa 40 hours for the average player. And Nustle Geek says, "Oh, Alex is French."
Yep, I am.
How could you tell?
It's the biggest surprise, right?
There's someone in the chat called Saul Gascon asking if shouldn't you be working? I don't know. Where that's
Never
coming
heard about.
from.
I
Not sure who that is. No,
Probably he's not the captain of our ship, right?
it can't be.
He's
No.
not, right? No, of course. Sol Gascon is our
Um,
game director and head of the studio, so he's just counting my hours. I think it's legal hours I'm doing right here, even if it's on a live painting.
A few repeating comments from a man named Jake. A simple name, Jake. We've got Darth Vader in the chat, but no, I'm going to take Jake's question instead. Could we make some kind of shadow armor? The armor can have some kind of aura around it. Is that something, this is out of my own personal interest as well, is that something that would make the devs get angry with us if we start adding things like that to the concept arts?
Well, it's something that now that we're so advanced in the game, it's not a system that we have, because in the action RPG genre, everything that you're showing has to be connected either to the story or the gameplay, right? That's the most important part. So if we put a shadow aura, it can't be just for fancy. It has to be connected to the gameplay somehow. Plus, it means that I'm going to be involving other poles of the team, because if I'm just adding more shapes on this character, it's going to be fine up to the extent where if I'm adding this aura, for example, it's going to be requiring VFX work on it, or a shader, which is the shader is the material of your character, and this is adding more work on other poles, making that the performance has to be checked more, that it's working in any situation, in any lighting you're going to go in through. So it's each small thing that we're adding, it's a whole bunch of questions that can be resolved or not very, very quickly. So, for example, if I'm probably, because I'm a big fan of adding cloth and floating stuff, like the tabard that you have here in the center. So this, I know I'm creating some part of Nightmare for our tech animators. So I know that at some point this tabard, I'll have to cut it a bit to be more narrowed, so the physics of our of the cloth here are going to work more smoothly. So you see, at first I'm just doing whatever my brush and my mind comes in, and whatever you're saying, and then little by little, piece by piece, I'm going to have to correct all of this so it becomes a real part of the game, something that can be done and something that can be crafted by our team and for the game.
I think it goes back to that ship analogy, and also working remotely allows it to be so much more flexible. But this idea that it's not just you creating a concept armor and then the modelers and animators come in and go, yep, here you go, let's make it. It's such a collaborative process where you need to make sure that everybody is capable and able of doing their part to the best of their ability, and you're not putting any blockers in their path by doing something crazy and wild and out of control.
Fully.
But that also what helps make a sort of cohesive feeling faction, right? Like if one armor set is supposed to be for Umbral, but you suddenly start throwing in the color palette from a Rogar set, then it's not going to feel like a piece of the same faction or world.
Yeah, exactly. It's becoming like rules of the universe, you know. So the hardest part, but also one of the most exhilarating or pleasant, is setting and creating those rules. But they're never like just ideas coming from nowhere, because you know, ideas, everybody has ideas. Ideas are for free, so it's very easy to have ideas and break them. But having good ideas and making them tangible, so it becomes something that really can exist in the game, that's where the hard part is coming in. Plus, you have the constraints that are added in on top of this. Plus, you have the tests that are coming on top of this. We worked very iteratively with. We worked with iterations. That's so good. Meaning that, you know, sometimes we are like, yeah, that's the best idea ever. It can be an art idea or as well as a game design idea. But we're like, yeah, that's a very good idea. And then we test it and we watch even people of the studio playing, and we're like, oh boy, nobody is understanding what's happening. Something is broken, or nobody is noticing this landmark we put in. Why nobody is looking at the giant windmill we put here? Why? And so then you have to change. And that's where the being versatile and agile is important, but also that's why setting a direction is important, because you're going to change so much time. What you thought for sure is going to work, but it actually doesn't, and you're going to change it so much times that it's important to have like a very strong direction where, okay, this is not working, let's find another solution. What can we do? And you're basically going to be asking your game for the solution. What in my game can replace this landmark that's not working? What can replace the fact that we can't put fire on my armor shoulder? I have to find something else. And then, you know, you're like, okay, let's look at the other Rogar types. Oh, we can have nails because they like to, you know, pain for pleasure. Perfect. Let's put nails instead. It's working very well. Everybody is loving it. Hey, it looks like a Hellraiser character. And that's it. Let's go.
Hellraiser.
So it's, yeah, you have to jump from one to the other a bit constantly. That's true.
So an interesting segue. And a two-part question for you here, Alex. One question is from me. The results of the last poll that Callum dropped into the chat were, will you be playing as, when you get to create your own character, will they be big and chunky or slim and nimble? So what are you going to go for, big and chunky or slim and nimble?
Myself?
Yourself.
I'm probably going to do a lot of characters. And so here in the studio in my playtests, so I did, that's because I'm a kind of otaku guy, huh? So I did a very slim, white hair, cool, young guy, which absolutely don't look like me. So I'm having my own...
You're living your fantasy, yeah.
And I'm living my fantasy of, hey, you know what, I would be a really cool guy. But one of the last characters I created a character that I called Le Gros Baron, so the fat duke, and I made him extremely round and shapeless with a beautiful mustache. And I'm trying to fight only with hammers and, you know, naked armors with only chains. So the rare people that find me in PvP, they're like, who is this? Is it the king of Kebabos? Yes, of course it is.
Can we, my request, can we give this guy a tentacle mustache? That would be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it.
At
least we can leave it for now with a tentacle mustache and see how it's going.
We have a interesting. The name has disappeared into the chat, but saying it would be great if we could make it look like the mask is rotting away a little bit, which would be very cool. I myself am probably going to go for a big chunky boy, which leads into another question from Zayla Sol. Will there be lighter Umbral armor, or are all the Umbral armors big chunky boys? And that's a direct quote. Big chunky boys.
Nope. So actually, that's also why we're doing this. I'm doing it heavy because we checked with in the roster of existing Umbral armors, and we have a few of them who are heavy. We have like let's say Umbral-related factions that have heavy armors, but not that much that are pure Umbral heavy armors. And because, you know, the Umbral, it's coming with a bit of this fantasy of necromancers, dark magic, swift characters that are using the dark realms of magic. And even if we have some sets that are more warrior-ish for the Umbral, we didn't have a pure Umbral character that was in a heavy armor. So that's why actually we're doing it here. So it's going to be a more unique, actually, set to have a heavy one here.
And I must say, what a beautiful heavy set armor. He looks far too adorable at the moment. I think we might have to.
I think it's the mustache.
I
Maybe
think we have to grunge up that mustache a little bit.
I really like the idea of the, how do we say, the idea that of the rotten flesh mask, because this is recalling me some of my horror movies. I watch a lot of horror movies, the worst possible sometimes, but because even in the worst horror movies, there is always a bit of, you know, food for spit and good designs, even if it's like a silly monster. So I'm not talking about like not Sharknado kind of room. I wouldn't jump up to doing this kind of what if we were doing a magic that was throwing a tornado first? That would be cool, but for sure. But still, but you know what? I remember that. I don't remember the name of this movie. There was this guy. I think the movie was Smiley or something like this, and he had like a mask of like Smiley, the emoji, but made of flesh with a scar for the mouth and stuff like this. And you know, when I hear things like, "Hey, could you do a rotten mask?" It's up. I don't know why suddenly like this image pops in my head, and like, oh wait, that could be a very creepy idea, and people would like to have this kind of outfit for fighting and stuff.
This is looking much more terrifying already.
Yeah, and then we'll just put a bit of shadows.
Yeah, beautiful. You're a master of your craft, Alex.
No, I'm more like a kid, you know, just having fun and doing stuff. When I have two young kids, like 4 and 7 years old, and when they're coming in and like, why are you joining that? No, I'm doing a monster and stuff. Huh? Again, a monster, and you're adding blood and stuff? Yes, of course, I'm adding blood. It's always a very weird situation, especially at Christmas when people are asking, "Hey, what are you doing for a living?" and stuff. Well, you know, I'm drawing monsters and knights and dragons all the time.
Honestly, being a child, my sort of day job at CO Games, if you can't believe that I'm not a daily host of art live streams myself, is in the marketing team doing graphic design and that sort of thing.
Exactly.
But I was heavily into drawing and animation as a kid and sort of fell out of it. But it was always dragons, and it was always dragons with these big, beautiful, gleaming scales, you know, and you just sit there with your coloring pencils for hours at a time, just coloring in the most beautiful dragons and bright colors that you could get. And frankly, this just looks like the adult version of that, right? Do you want to just draw cool monsters all day? Great, here you go.
Honestly, that's the best part of my life. It's doing this, painting horrible monsters. Now that I shifted like from pure concept art, because here I'm doing the concept art, but a lot of the concept art that was done in the game are made by much more talented people than me. The freelancers, artists that we hired to collaborate with, and I was just, you know, giving them briefs, correcting a bit, doing adding stuff, mashing up their sketches together. So like this good idea plus this good idea, and we craft it together. But for me, going back to the essentials like crafting, doing a character design and stuff, this is really a blast. But since I'm an art director now, it's even more. I have even a better time seeing the world becoming real somehow. So you have to wait a lot because, you know, you start from the pre-production and it's a bunch of paintings, sketches, and design documents, and then it's starting to get in 3D. Then you have the first iterations. Then you have a block out of your universe. The first creations are probably gonna be changed because, you know, they were the early ones, and then the tech gets better. So it's always changing. But now when I'm seeing how the world is completely fleshed out, and especially when I see people saying, "Wow, I loved this," or even people at the studio, you know, playing and saying, "I got into the fight against this monster. He was so scary. or people reacting to a trailer like, this guy, I love him, I can't wait to do cosplay. And yeah, that's where I'm doing. Yeah, I'm so happy when I hear or read those comments.
Must be an incredible feeling to see that come to life as well. Just a couple of quick questions. One clarification. Tyler Slaughter asks, when he said donations, I hope he doesn't mean microtransactions. No, absolutely not.
Not at all.
You're donating a community currency that you earn in game by playing the game towards a community goal. So no microtransactions. Donation is used because you're making an offering to your god, essentially. That's the reason for that choice of words there. Secondly, and more exciting, from several people, but Kievet, I think it's pronounced. Does the game have waifus? So I'll leave that one up to your imagination. But we do have a couple of people asking for you, Alex. It's Montage and Iman. Do you have any YouTube channels or portfolios of your artwork? Because they would love to see more.
Yeah, I have a art station that you can see some of my either professional past works or more personal works. For this, I guess you can just go and search my, let's say, artist name or my real name, and you'll find it on the internet quite easily. And I'm on Twitter, X, Instagram, and stuff like this. But here, once again, I'm gonna status it because it's the most important thing. Here, it's very easy for me. I'm like painting in front of you, answering questions and stuff. The real heroes are the guys of the team who are working super hard from the beginning, and especially here now in this, let's say the last few meters before the end of the race.
The mad dash.
Exactly, the mad dash, and all the great stuff that you see in the game. It's mostly their work, huh? And so they are really the true heroes. I can't quote them all because they're too much.
Spoken like a true captain, like a true captain.
And it's just at some point you have to tell it. it's super. It's easy for me to just be pushed here where most of the hard work was made by other people. Sure. And it's somehow,
like you say, it's a collaborative process, and it's very noble of you to. I mean, if it was me, I'd be pushing them right to my art station. Everyone go subscribe to Alex. He's got great socials, loads of beautiful artwork. He's too humble to say it himself.
And one of the funny thing, if you go on my social networks, is that now that I moved to Spain, that I have a more clement weather than in France, I got back to oil painting. Like, I'm doing digital all day for and all week for work. So my personal pleasure is going back into like oil paintings and stuff, and I'm doing stuff really different from what I'm doing here. I mean, it's really different. There is always like monsters and creepy stuff, right? I'm not doing like flowers and nice houses, but it's a very different style from what is necessary for a game, because that's an important thing. An art director or a concept artist or any artist that is on a video game, he has its personal style and taste. But since we're part of a bigger thing, like crafting this the entire game itself, sometimes it's more of working for the industry than doing your own Galleria museum art for stuff. Of course, you can influence people, and sometimes it's better to influence than doing the most precise thing. But at some point, some of us will just need, just what is the painting we're going to put on this wall in the church? Yeah. What is it? Just do it. And then you can't just brush out something. You have to do something that's kind of believable in this world, even if it's not your art style that you usually do it.
I always say, I'm sure I got this from somewhere, but I think it shouldn't be called concept art. It should be called concept design, because art is art for art's sake, whereas design has a purpose, right? And everything you're making for a game has a specific purpose in mind.
I mean, it really depends also on. So it depends on the artist. Of course, it depends on the game that you're doing, and it's going to be a bit cliche, but there is as much way to do art direction that there are art directors out there, because it's still a very personal thing. There's not a recipe of how do we do the art direction of a game and how do we bring stuff. I know there are some artists that are, very in the detail of every functioning thing. Where me, for example, I think I put it actually in the very first art direction document I made for Lords. It was I privilege mood over structure, meaning that I'll very rarely be the guy coming in and say, this sword is much too heavy, it's not possible.
Yeah.
Or in the 18th century, it's not possible to have this kind of a shield. No, that's forbidden.
Actually, that guy, the actually guy.
Yeah, and I completely understand. It's just a different way of doing it. Sometimes it's better for, let's say, you have more creative, kind of creative freedom. You don't live by the constraints of a livable and believable world. You can go out of it. Like, for example, in our game, I think I already talked about this, and I said so many times that I'm adding candles everywhere. Of course. There is no wax factory in our, that are creating so much wax to put so much candles. But for me, yeah, that's it, and it's also part of it because somehow you can be a bit more metaphorical and with symbolism. So, for example, those the Sentinels, those radiant guys that we have in the game, they are representative of a past glory that is no more. Okay. And they are very pious. They prayed a lot to their God. They really believe in it. And that's actually, they went so far that they got crazy. And so how do we depict this craziness? We're not going to make them, just hit their head against the walls and screaming all the part. It can be part of it, but it's not enough. Their place of living has to change too. So to do this, I was like, okay, what does Sentinel do every day? He's going to go and pray. And light some candles. And I remember I had a striking vision of me when I was younger and going into a small chapelle in France, a small church, and there was those places where you can buy a candle for €1, and you put it and you pray in front of a painting of God. And I remember this chapel where I think that there was nobody coming and cleaning actually the candles and the wax. So it was covering all over the place and going all over the place here. And that was like a striking vision because I was like, but that's it. If I was Sentinel and I was going crazy and praying without any measurement, I would be never going back and cleaning my candles. I would just add in more and pray even more. So that's also why now if you go and visit any place in the game where there is sentinels or pilgrims, they just accumulated those candles all over the place. So this, if I was very practical, it would not be possible in the universe of this game because where did they get this so much wax, and are they stupid or they're super dangerous? They're going to put fire in their mans. But taking it on a symbolic standpoint, then it works and makes sense.
Maybe it's not wax. Maybe it's umbral goo.
Oh, of course. That's the second part.
There's always the answer. It came from the umbral.
Umbral is the best thing. It's also part of what was the most fun thing. I remember one of the questions was what was super challenging, and it was so far away I just didn't think about it. But yeah, just what does Umbral gonna look like? That was one of a hell of a thing. Huh? And I'm happy that César and Sol have been first so insightful to help me craft this, but also very patient so we can find how it's gonna look. Plus, Umbral being such a important part of a game and gameplay that it was very iterative and changed a lot. The first iterations of Umbral, even if we knew where we wanted to go, once again it was the direction was something that we were all conscious of what it was, but it's hard to shape it into okay, now actually what is it going to be, guys? Let's just take a minute and find out what it's going to be. And yeah, it was a big of a challenge, but also it was opening the gates of a whole cosmic horror and Lovecraftian things, where dark fantasy is very codified, and of course there is a lot of things that you can create, but we have the common grounds of what dark fantasy is, especially if it's a medieval or medievalist. So having the Umbral to be like a breath of putrid fresh air, so we can create shapes that doesn't exist, stuff that are very different. That was really, really cool for us. Very, very cool for us.
A breath of putrid air. Incredible detail there, Alex. Thank you so much. Chat are absolutely loving the detail that you're going into.
Cool.
I'll answer a couple of questions that have been popping around, and then we're going to take a very quick 2-minute break. And then we'll be continuing for around another hour or so. So this has been answered in chat, but a few people have asked about things like the tools and rings that you can use during combat, and how can you augment your character beyond weapons and things like this. And I have some answers. There is an amulet slot, first of all, which can be massive game changers, changing how armors and weapons can scale, and giving the player really unique powers, such as casting spells from 2 different schools of magic. Oh yeah, make his head really thin.
I was
gonna
try. I wanted to try something, but
could you please give him a big head, a really big head?
That's something we could think about.
So we have an amulet system that can do really wild changes, and then there are also 2 slots for rings that can augment players' core abilities, not just stats. Aside from that as well, there's also a really cool rune system, which I'm really interested to try out properly. It can be a big game changer for things across the board, like weapons and stats and scaling and abilities and things. And you can socket certain weapons and even your lamp with runes and eyeballs into your lamp that have a huge impact on how those things work and are affected as well. So loads of customization options for players. Another technical question was, will the game have DLSS? And yes, we're working closely with NVIDIA to integrate 3.5 with frame generation into the game. So a couple of technical questions there to finish off part 1 of this live stream. I think we've made some incredible progress and had some awesome feedback so far.
Yeah.
We're going to take a very quick break, 2 or 3 minute break, and then we'll be back for roughly another hour, finishing shortly just before 6 o'clock UK time. It's been fantastic so far. Really loving the community and the details.
Thank you so much, guys.
And I think we'll kick off after the break with another poll to see what the next stage of this armor is going to be.
Perfect.
So we will see you all very shortly. Please don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 2 or 3 minutes. Hello, everybody. We are back. Welcome back to this art live stream. I'm here with Alex, the art director of Lords of the Fallen, who has done a little bit of polishing on our design since we took a break. I think you can all agree we've done excellent work here. You guys, as the community, especially.
Yeah, we entered the detailing phase. This is the most important. We're talking. It's easy to talk about pirate ships and direction, but
yeah, the original sketch is just for concepting to get the base strokes down, and then we refine into something like this.
Now we have to get serious.
This is the kind of thing that we hand off to the modeling team, right? And then they base their models off of this. Yeah.
As I was saying, mood before structure. Here the mood is very clear. I mean, we know where we're going, right?
Are those eyeballs, or are they slices of salami or olives?
You know me. I'm a pepperoni pizza fan, so it is pizza pepperoni.
Could you add a few? That's it. That's the pizza slice. Yeah, absolutely.
Here we go.
No candles though. I'm disappointed. There's no candles on the design.
That's only for our romantic dinners at Gamescom, Matt. Pizza, pepperoni, and candles.
That's it. Wow, so many candles, in fact.
Okay.
So please, before we lose too many viewers,
let's go back here.
So for those who are just joining us, this is the art live stream where we are creating a piece of community armor with you guys in the chat who have had some wonderful inputs so far, adding this sort of flesh-torn mask as well as the skeletal mixture of bones and flesh armor as well. I've made one specific request, which is, can you make it look like he's crying goth tears, which Alex is just going to fill out for us here now.
Yeah, of course I'm doing that now.
So we've kind of moved past the initial blocking out stage and are onto the detailing stage here. So whilst everybody gets warmed back up in the chat and rejoins after the little break, we're going to have another poll shortly where we're going to do the detailing on his tabard, the piece of cloth around his waist there. Essentially, we need a pattern for this, right, to give it a level of detail. Something with eyes or bones or creepy flesh, I think, are going to be the three choices.
Yeah, exactly.
So if Callum, we could have, we would never. I've just popped over to the chat to see that Callum has rigged a poll about pineapple on pizza. 67% of people say yes, pineapple pizza.
Come on, guys, what's happening?
Disgusting.
Are we in Umbral right now?
Do you know what? Just for that, I'm shutting the stream down. No more community input. Obviously, the community is insane. We're not letting you have any decisions made in our game anymore.
Or maybe insane is good. Maybe insane
is good. Well, they did pick Umbral.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the insane path to walk, right?
Is Umbral part of pineapple? Maybe that's the answer.
The poll was complete with a 66% weighting in the favor of pineapple on pizza. That is disappointing. Disappointing, guys.
I'm just shocked.
Okay. Callum, agent of chaos that you are, could we please have a poll for the tabard? Do we want eye detailing, bones detailing, or flesh detailing for the tabard, please?
The tabard being this piece of clothes that we have on the front here.
There's some absolute maverick monster in the chat called Chris Leyendeckers saying, pineapple pizza, the only options were yes.
Oh boy.
What a monster.
I'm venting now.
An absolute monster. There's some real agents of chaos. Thomas Smith says pineapple yes and egg and beetroot on hamburgers. I can get behind that. I can get behind that, but not the pineapple. Disgusting. Anyway, back on track, please, everyone. What an agent of chaos you are, Alex, to divide the chat.
Oh my god,
so
I'm
brutally.
sorry.
We come back from a brief break, and what happens? Descend into chaos. Okay, that poll is up for the detailing on the front of the cloth there. Eyes, bone, or flesh detailing for the tabard. I feel like I've already made my mark by putting the two big eyeballs on his pauldron. But I'm always a fan of more eyeballs in designs, especially
in general. You mean like in your life?
Just in general, yeah. All of my t-shirts have just got eyeballs on them.
Yeah, I understand.
There is a certain piece of armor in this game, no spoilers, a helmet that turns your whole head into an eyeball. Is that right, Alex? Is that still in there? Did that make it into the final?
It was made in concept, but I don't know if it's in it very well. Yeah, exactly.
Perhaps is my favorite piece of concept art that I've seen from the game.
Yeah, this I can recall.
Kubgi TV gets it. He says, we need more eyes, always more eyes. So I'm going to agree with Kubiki TV and vote for more eyes. And once again, it's a disgustingly even split.
Oh.
Actually, 33% per vote at the moment. We're going to need to leave this one open a little bit. Come on, Team Eyes. Let's go, Team Eyes. Give me more gross eyeballs. More gibbous eyeballs, please, for our armor set. Those goth tiers are looking absolutely perfect. Thank you so much for adding those, Alex.
Yeah, no worries. I think I'm going to have to bring back a little bit of the human proportions, because even if I really want us to be bulky, here he is already like all the sliders are at the maximum.
He looks like the partisan, who is the chonkiest of player starting classes. He is a beautiful man.
Here we go. It's just a bit more accurate right now.
Eye gang, rise up. Grant us eyes, says Soulborn Sal. Come on now, Umbral.
Let's add a bit of color.
Eyes and bone hanging off the cloth. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
let's have a little look at the results of the poll. Oh, I'm proud to say that eyes are eking it out with a 38% at the top of the poll at the moment. I don't know how long the poll is open for, but we're gonna leave it open as long as we can. And it is shut. Look at that. So we have a strong lead with eyes at 38%, followed by bone 33%, and flesh at 28%. People really don't want to see any gross, withered umbral flesh today. So I think eyes is the clear winner in this case by a 5% lead. So let's go with eyeballs, please.
Let's go for the eyeballs on the tabard then. But of course we're gonna do real, right? We're not just gonna do drawings of eyeballs.
No,
we're do a real
eyeballs, yeah.
flesh of eyeballs right
here. We're gonna 3D scan my actual eye, put it in the game.
The one we call the eye, right?
Yeah. Can they be hanging from like tassels and ropes around?
Yeah, I think it's gonna do like a
netting,
fishnet. Yeah, exactly, fishnet.
Oh, we're on the same page, Alex.
Well,
can I have a job, please, in the concept art team?
No, but what about marketing design?
Well, I have no concept art skills whatsoever, but I do know how to add eyeballs to a design. So
you know, everybody can have a good idea.
The tabard itself could be made of flesh, which I agree with.
Well, why not? Let's do that then.
Yeah,
let's cripple the
the ripped flesh of some poor umbral creature to make your armor. I like that.
Totally.
Disgusting, as I said. The more disgusting, the better.
That's fantastic. You know, we create those monsters and stuff. It's like, people. I hope people are not going to react too badly to our horrors. And when actually we ask them, they're like, hey, you know what? Add more eyeballs and maybe some flesh here. Let's add flesh.
My dear wife, my darling wife, who I love entirely with my whole heart, every time she walks past my computer screen, she's like, this game looks disgusting. How can you look at this all day? It looks so disgusting. And I'm like, that's what people want. We love it. And she's like, oh, I'm sure they do. It's disgusting. And now on the live stream, we have proven as a fact that people just want the grimmest looking characters possible, which I am absolutely here for.
Which is normal. I mean, it's part of the fantasy itself, down to.
We're getting a few questions from new viewers, Nightmare specifically, saying, is this drawing going to be added as a monster in the game? So I'll just do a brief recap. This is a piece of community armor that the player will be able to wear. Those who worship the Umbral gods and are part of the PvP faction of Umbral will be able to get this armor in game and wear it and invade people and kill them all looking like an absolute squid god. So this will be available in game. Absolutely. The creature that you're looking at doesn't exist. It is a set of armor for the player.
I'm using this empty cavity I had from the beginning, and actually I think if we fill it with eyes, it'd be very good.
Yes. Do you know what they're reminding me of is you know when like a crustacean has eyes on stalks and then they can like suck them back in and they're peeking out from the inside of a crustacean shell or something. Yeah. Yeah, like this. Yeah.
I could be Sebastian of Little Mermaid.
Yeah, let's leave that in. Why are you pressing Control Z?
There are rules in our universe. I can't go across that far. Not that far.
I think a few people in the chat are misunderstanding, asking, can the tablet have unicorns on it? Unicorn horns?
Unicorns? No,
Not really
probably
fitting the
not.
Umbral vibe there.
I can't. Yeah, and I can't go to that degree of horror. Unicorns is really too far. I
Quite
already
horrifying.
live with my 7 years old daughter. That unicorns are a way of living. That's the god she worships. So it's way enough. It's way
It's
enough.
already quite monstrous enough. Thank you very much. Yeah.
What's funny is that I'm so here. Of course, it's impossible that for the 2 hours we have a fully finished piece. So I'll probably have to finish it. And when I'm seeing all the details you're asking me to add, guys, you're actually asking me a long work afterwards. I'll have to go in detailing each of those eyeballs and everything.
Yeah. That is an interesting point that you raised, though. After this live stream finishes in roughly 40 minutes' time, we will be posting the finished artwork at some point on our socials. So please make sure that you're following on those, all the usual channels.
Totally.
One question.
Somewhere next week.
Yeah, probably. Well, you can't have it done any sooner, Alex. Come on.
Actually, there's a weekend in between, so I'm probably gonna rest a bit. But yeah, I'll get back to it. Promise.
We have a question, a gameplay question that I am happy to answer regarding solo invasions. If co-op invasion drops in the future, will solo invasions be added into the game? Very pleased to inform you that solo invasions are in the game from launch. So tick that one off the list. This guy, Alex, I must say, I'm a bit worried about what goes on inside your head because he is shaping up to be terribly gruesome.
Why people always say that? I think if you meet me, you met me already in real life at Gamescom, so I'm like the most regular human being you ever see. I'm average hate.
It's like when you meet, when you meet Clive Barker or something, and you're like, oh, you're just a guy. You're just a normal guy.
You're just a guy.
You made Hellraiser, what?
Except for the kittens I'm eating every night. No, I'm not.
Well, that's just how you get your power, right? You're like a warlock. Yeah. You have a patron deity. Yeah.
Of course. So maybe we can ask the people since we like those eyes, I kind of like also the eyes that are here encrusted in the shoulder pad. Does the viewers want me to encrust more of them? I can have them on the protection here.
I mean, I would love it, but that is a very good question. Do we want more eyeballs on the armor? We've had a request for barnacles. I think the squid guy is getting out of control. I don't know. Are barnacles part of Umbral lore?
So not exactly, but it's true that some of the inspiration of the initial Umbral of how we created it came from abysses and ocean aspects. We wanted to do some. Actually, when we created it, Umbral in general, there were first talkings of making it suffocating. So there are several ways of making this. Is it poisonous? Is it ghostly? Does it have fog? Or do we consider it like being underwater? And so that was actually one of the first initial inputs. I think one of the very first discussions I had actually with César about how should we shape Umbral. And we were talking about this sensation of suffocating underwater and everything. So somehow, if this guy is from one of the most ancient worshippers of Umbral, it's not a stupid thing that we tie him up a little bit to shores and seas, because maybe that's also why they were getting so much deep. They were actually coming from the abysses of oceans instead of just the abysses of grounds. And so this is how, bits by bits, we can create parts of a mythology that's a bit bigger than it was initially. Even the smallest design can, open new doors. if we do it, accordingly with thoughts. So here you saw how I was thinking, and then it brings a whole new paradigm to a piece of just a piece of armor, but that suddenly becomes a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's interesting how such a large community, or even in the 100 or so people that we've got watching now, they can all start to align their ideas on how they want a piece to progress, right?
Yeah,
Like you
super
say,
funny.
seeing things about these creatures from the depths, and everybody has an understanding of what the depths means, whether that's the depths of the ocean or the depths of the umbra or the depths of whatever. It's very interesting. We're seeing a lot of requests for can we damage up the armor a little bit?
Yeah, of course.
I would love to see some cracks around where those eyeballs are peeking out from the shoulders and things like this.
I think we can. I can break it a little bit.
And request
and break here too.
Portalier X says, have more tendrils flying out of the face.
Yeah, tendrils are
ripped skin mask.
Yeah, so I think we'll have maybe like tendrils coming underneath. But it's something I'll have to add.
Like a flayed skin covering up some kind of tendrily underneathness. Absolutely, yeah.
We can probably do. I'll sketch it right now like this, super loosely, and but I'll try to do it in the final detailing when I'll finish the concept to have back.
Unfortunately, we're getting a lot of naysayers in the chat saying there's something as too many eyes, and honestly, I don't agree. But it looks like that 40% of people do agree, saying, "Okay, no more eyes."
Okay, so I'm fine with this. It's
I'll
maybe like throw one or two hidden here or there.
He has eyes everywhere except for where his eyes should be. So maybe that's a good thing.
that's exactly it. Yeah. That's exactly the Noruta spirit. Like this character Molu has. If you can go under his hood, you'll see that he doesn't have eyes on his face, but he has eyes on his hands. So it's actually perfect.
Eyes on his hands. That's incredible. That reminds me of one of my favorite character designs or monster designs of all time.
I know what you're gonna say.
The Pan's
Labyrinth. Yeah, exactly.
I
love it. Yeah, I love it too. Yeah. Full of symbolism, full of a lot of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Guillermo del Toro and his team is got a direct line into my favorite types of monster designs, I think. Oh yeah, that chest cavity. That looks so cool.
So I'll have to see how because there are two or three things here we can see that are going to go into the final details when I'm doing the end of it. So first of all, there is the whole what's happening here, behind in his back, because
of course.
I'm doing the front here. So even, for example, if everybody is saying no more eyes, I could put a whole cape of eyes in the back, for example. And actually, that would be a fun idea. You see,
the back of his entire back, if the cape flaps up, it's just one massive eye in a cavity.
What? Oh, yeah, I can see it. Oh, yeah, like when it goes up, you see a whole eye. That would be super funny.
I'll get more eyes in there, even if the community doesn't want it. I'll find a way to add more eyes.
At some point, they won't be here for the end of it, so we'll see how we can add it. But you see, I just added like this loose piece just to remind me that probably I'm going to put a cape or something, which is not sure because I already added so much capes in
I quite like the idea of a like a tattered cape that continues off of the hood but stops like mid-back. It feels like a chunky ripped cape that stops mid-back. That feels like quite a bulky kind of characteristic, right? Like a big heavy character wouldn't have this huge flowing cape. I quite like a tattered.
The thing is that there is also a reason why I like capes and everything. So probably if you noticed, our game is a bit dark and grim, right? From the trailers or stuff. And it's something that I really like is that most, if not all, our armors have rust, damages, cracks, broken stuff. Like all our armors lived, it's very rare in the game to find like a shiny, perfectly clean armor. It always had something happen before you get it, right? And capes and clothes are also part of this because you can shred them. You can so each time you're fighting an enemy with clothes that are floating all the way, it brings this kind of organic feeling. So for example, if you imagine the Umbral enemies. Some of them have this floating capes and stuff. And in the Umbral, the rules of physics are a bit different. So I think it was Dave that proposed when we did it. One of our tech animators. He proposed me, hey, for the cape of this creature, maybe we can make it like floating a bit like if it was in water. And that was, circling back to the abysses, to the water, feeling and everything. I was like, that's brilliant. Let's do it. And he made a super job. So when you're going to meet this creature, it's like a kind of zombie with a cape. You'll see actually the cape is not floating normally. It's like floating like if it was an underwater ink. And so that's some cool ideas can just emerge because you have a good contrast between solid things like the shoulder pauldron and floating things like the flesh tabard or the cape that is behind.
Yeah.
All of those stuff, it's like common design thoughts that we craft day after day, so we know and it just pops out at the good moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, famously, no capes, right? But we love capes, so they're in there.
Yeah, of course.
I have a couple of questions. One from some mysterious figure called Callum. What does Umbral smell like?
I had too many answers in my head that can't be said in streams. So
moist. It smells moist and damp, to my mind, and those are very safe answers. Slightly more serious question. And after we do a couple more questions, we'll have our final poll because there is only half an hour left of the live stream, so I want to get one more audience decision in there if we can. But one question from Sizemon Kofalik, a fantastic name. After you make a concept art and then move it to the game, it has to fit different body types and sizes. Is it easier to make a concept art on a chonky figure or a slim one? Or does it not really matter?
It does matter somehow because that we're gonna take the middle size character, like the most average size, to do the first iteration in 3D because it's gonna be like the base that then we're gonna transform. Yeah, exactly, for the bigger sized and the slimmer sized of the character. Plus, there is also the consideration of the, let's say, body type B, the more feminine armor version, where we have to readapt things to the morphology, the feminine morphology. So usually I prefer mood over structure. Here, yeah, for sure, he is heavier, or he would be like in the heavier sliders of your customization character. But it goes also of we're doing the heavy armor. So as much as possible, I want to convey when we're going to do the 3D that we have a heavy character. And that's why I like pushed a bit the proportions. That's also why I don't work when I'm doing armors on like a template. I could have taken the 3D model of the character naked and paint over it.
Yeah.
But it's not how I like to work, and it's perfectly fine if some of the artists I work with do that. I'm totally fine with this, but for myself, I have more pleasure in creating and crafting the outfit by trying to kind of find the good and the right emotion. Like, at the beginning of the stream, I say, we're going to do a big chunky boy. And now more or less everybody is saying big chunky boy because it's how we shaped it, right, all together. We were like, this is the emotion we wanted to give. It would be very hard for somebody popping in the chat right now and say, oh, look at this super light design armor and everything. And that's more or less the most important goal. We wanted to be sure that this armor is going to be perceived by like heavy. So even at this stage, it has to be perceived as heavy, even if it's, let's say, cheating with the character's proportion for now, and then getting it more regular once I'm finishing or when we're in the 3D phase.
Yeah, like you say, it's mood over substance, or mood over
structure,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Very quickly, because I love it. We have a request to say, can we make the mask look more angry? He looks kind of surprised. Can we just give
I see him.
Two big, heavy, angry eyebrows, please?
So I think it's because, Actually, we could either make the holes bigger, and it can be actually more frightening. Let's see, like instead of doing it frightening, it becomes like more mysterious, and we can, since it's a mask of flesh, we can add another layer underneath of it.
Or like peeking out.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Which makes that somehow like we can do like a horror.
Nose.
You see, a horror shredder very very quickly.
I kind of liked his sad sad eyes.
Yeah,
from
I know.
before,
But I think it's possible to have both.
This is very cool. Very cool. Okay, so question for the whole team: how long have you guys survived, or how long do you think you guys would survive in the Umbral world? Saul's already jumped in the chat saying, "Who says we survived?"
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Especially the longer you stay, the harder it becomes. And I know for a fact that there's really horrors that delay when you stay too long.
Yeah. So not very long at all.
I mean, I'm very confident that our future players, there will be some of them that are the bravest and the strongest that will survive and will confront the horrors that are in Umbral up to the end. Some people of the studio very recently actually defeated some of the worst things of Umbral. So I think it is doable and possible.
We'll be enlisting their help in. We'll be enlisting their help in co-op then, won't we?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Beacon Eve or something. He's getting really strong now.
So we have about 25 minutes left of the live stream. Let's get one more audience decision in there. Everything on here is looking absolutely beautiful. The only thing that's looking slightly unrefined, I would say, is the gauntlets. Is there a way to add some detailing to the gauntlets?
Yeah, let's make a choice. So I'll bring back. Let's bring back the choice of encrusting eyes.
Oh wow, yeah.
Or teeth or tentacles.
Oh, okay.
And then like this, it's a good choice.
I would love some tentacly fingers. But I can see that immediately messing with the devs and telling me off because all of grabbing the weapons are going to get...
I think...
okay, that's a great idea. So let's add it to the poll, but I think I know which way it's going to go. Do we want eyeballs? Some kind of vicious form of teeth or claw incrustation on the gauntlets? Or tentacles? Can we get a poll up, please, Callum? One more poll. Eyeballs, teeth / clawy things, or tentacles. And
we're almost getting like a Crab Abyss version of Predator now. I kind of like it. I think it is not bad at all. Imagine this with a giant. I don't know. He'll probably do a giant halberd or something going with this weapon, but with this armor. But you know,
halberd is always my weapon of choice.
Or maybe a harpoon halberd or something that's we stay in the fishy.
Talking my language.
I know.
No, this is an armor design live stream.
Yeah. Next.
Design.
Let's set a new stream for another day.
Okay, so we have a choice. We have a choice of eyes, teeth, or tentacles. Please no. Which means, of course, I have to click tentacles, I'm afraid. It's an even split at the moment between teeth and tentacles, which is a sentence I didn't think I'd find myself saying today.
That's how you are a real influencer, Matt. I already noticed at Gamescom, you were like pushing indirectly, and my favorite class is the Black Feather Ranger. I'm just saying like this, you can do whatever you want. You can take the Hallowed Road, if you're scared or something. But I mean, the Black Feather is really good.
With his beautiful axe and bow, just waiting to be picked.
It's my favorite class, so I'm fine with it. But
we're seeing a lot of contentious, I would dare to say, talk back almost about the mask changes. There is vicious debate going on about whether the nose hole was a good idea.
Maybe the nose hole should disappear. Look,
it's not that bad. The nose.
I can get that, guys. I can get it.
I feel
why not?
No.
It's my tendency. I always add skulls everywhere. So it was a bit of a it was a natural thing for me to do.
That's okay. You spread the net wide, and we rein you back in and say perhaps 24 eyeballs is enough eyeballs. And,
okay.
do we need another 30 candles? Probably not.
I don't know. I leave this for the sentinels adding candles on their shoulders.
Let's have a little look-see at the poll. Oh, Zealous Soul is incredibly happy that you got rid of that nose.
You see, I'm here to listen.
No need.
Art director, but also a bit of a
Coupe says,
freelancer
hell yeah,
constantly.
hell yeah. Mask looks better
Perfect.
without the nose. Man, you're a people pleaser, Alex.
No, it's okay. I'll put it back afterwards. Don't worry.
Yeah, we'll add it back in. Don't worry.
When nobody was gonna be when nobody was looking, I'll just add it in.
Alex, my dear friend, I would like you to guess which is winning at the moment: eyes, teeth, or tentacles.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna be tentacles, but I still have hopes for other stuff. We'll see. We'll see. Or no. Let me bet. Since how the poll has been up to now, we're gonna have 33% of tentacles, 33% of eyes,
and somehow
33%,
60%.
and a magical 60% of tentacles.
You're getting
Yeah,
people raging. If there's another eyeball added, I'm leaving chat.
Oh.
Well, the chat is about. Sorry, the chat is about to close. That's not right. The poll is about to close, and let's see who's winning. But it's not tentacles at the moment. Currently, teeth is ahead with a strong lead of 45%.
Not bad.
I can already picture some teeth on these gauntlets. To be fair,
It's gonna be easy. There are some spaces where I can add it.
Okay, the
teeth
poll
at
has
45.
closed. 45%.
This is knowing our poll. It's a very strong lead.
Yeah, it is.
So let's do the eyes, right?
Because 60... let's do eyes. Yeah, I think
that's how polls work, right?
Callum's messed up the poll. Instead of typing out 61 for eyes, he typed 16.
Oh
now
yeah,
everyone's realised that the polls are fake.
Yes, of course.
Callum,
I knew it.
That's it. I'm going to get rid of him.
It's never the vote that's choosing. It's the.
Fine. We'll add teeth then. We'll add teeth.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it, teeth.
I'm very disappointed.
No, don't be. It's gonna be cool. It's actually gonna bring this.
Could we do some teeth biting an eyeball, like an eyeball inside a mouth? Because then, then I'd be very happy.
One of our Umbral creatures, the one we call in the studio Umbral Mama. It's what's the name in the game? Womb of Despair, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So I invite you all to when you can, maybe with our great photo mode, to try to look closely to the details of her eyes, and you'll see that actually it's not. She doesn't have eyelids. It's a teeth with an open mouth. So you can.
I knew I got the idea from somewhere.
Yeah. You can.
We have a question from Pyros Requiem. Another fantastic name. These chat names, honestly. I noticed there was a broken planet on the game cover artwork. Is this related to the lore? And the head honcho himself has replied, "This is the Rogar moon, which swells with Adyr's power. He intends to eclipse the sun, the radiant domain of his arch-enemy, the god Aureus. Without Aureus's light, everyone will fall to the Rogar army." There you go, Pyros.
It's better that he answers, huh?
That was how Sal talks in my head.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, I would have been like, there's a moon.
And it's cracked because they asked me to draw it with a crack in it.
No. Actually, I think I'm the one who brought the crack. So
what a power.
I was we all call me the Moon Crusher.
In fact, you drew a normal moon, and then you couldn't get it quite right, so you punched your Wacom really hard, and instead of breaking the Wacom, it broke the moon. That's how powerful you are. Oh,
that's how it's made.
One moment, I just have to mute temporarily for my dog is going insane.
Yep. Don't worry. I'll do an elevator music for the meantime.
And I'm back. God, that was a very short elevator ride.
Oh yeah, I know.
Keen-eyed viewers can see my dog returning to her perch atop the sofa after barking at probably what was some innocent child walking by. Sorry about that, everyone. Okay, new poll: dogs or cats? Well, I've got both. I can't vote twice.
You're not voting. That's too easy.
Vote for cats because cats don't bark during live streams.
I'm a cat guy, so I'm happy with this
I'm
answer.
animal guy. If I could, I
Ah,
would live in a zoo. I'd
you're
be
a
so
manimal.
happy.
That's
I'm a manimal, yeah.
that's
If I had
great.
a pet donkey, I think I'd be very, very happy. You know, there's something noble about the humble donkey. I'd get a goat as well, probably. I'd obviously get a pet squid man, of course.
I had a turtle when I was back in France.
Did you?
But
I've always
yeah,
wanted
I had
turtles
to.
or
It's
terrapins.
it's it's absolutely great. I had to leave it in France to my one of my cousins actually.
Oh. This isn't sorry. This isn't a what pets did we have live stream. This is an art live stream, and we have a question from Mental Help. Uh, when you invade, do you look normal or do you have an annoying glow that obscures fashion? You look normal. Absolutely, you can let your fashion shine through, but not shine through because you don't have a glow. Does that make sense? Did I answer your question? Teethses then, I think, all pointing down. Can we have a couple of big teeth? I feel like I think he needs a couple of big teeth.
Yeah, we can try.
I'm using my power as the host here to.
Yeah, I already said you're the influencer guy.
Oh, I kind of like that. I kind of like that. Is the
Yeah,
like
like more.
the open jaw on
Yeah,
the wrist
exactly.
part? Is there a way to have like reverse teeth on the hand, and then it'd be like whenever you swing your sword, it'd be like a mouth.
Like each time you're fighting, you're like I have T5. Why
Yeah,
not?
exactly. Yeah. Feel free to undo this afterwards.
No, we'll see. We'll see if it gets in the final design or not.
So
Perfect.
talking about fashion in one thing that I love as well is you because you're not obscured by any weird glow or discoloration or anything like that. You actually can tinct your
Yeah.
armor. You can color
Yeah.
your armor using in-game tincts, which is a hard word to say. So you can truly let your inner fashionista shine, and you can color. Is it metal, leather, and fabric all differently? Is that right, Alex?
Yeah, so we wanted to make a system that is also a bit tied to the lore. So first, those tincts, you'll find them as items in the game. So you'll have to explore the game and the realm of Umbral and everything to find those items. And since they actually each of those tincts influence leather, metal, and fabric.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's always coming the three together. Because it's related to the factions, the lore, the characters that you can find in the game. So, for example, you'll find a Rogar tinct that's putting your metal in red, your fabric in black, and your leather in brown. And so you'll look like one of the skin stealer characters of the universe.
I
Of our
think I'd
universe.
just go full edge lord and either full white or full black. Just
Of course.
ninja or radiant lord. The marketing man inside me as well would die a little inside if I didn't mention that you can get some exclusive tincts by either pre-ordering the game, so you can get some metallic armor, gold, silver, and bronze tincts. And if you join our Steam community group, you get 3 exclusive ones as well. But there are plenty of in-game discoverable tincts as well. But there's more information on that coming soon on the Steam tincts. Can you act like an NPC to trick invaders? Well, it depends how good of an actor you are, I suppose. Lucky Squire. Good
Yeah,
question.
you could, huh? You could actually. I think you could really. There, you know that you're gonna be you're invaded, so there is something that's telling you. But you could also completely miss it, and so somebody in disguise with the right armor and everything, yeah, you
Well,
could trick some people.
enemies drop armor, like
Yeah, exactly.
like my favorite enemy, Spiky Binhead. The Ardent Penitent has quite a distinctive helm, so if you wore the distinctive helm, you could at first glance be mistaken for an NPC.
Yeah, but
So
I
you
think
can dress with the armors of actual NPCs as well, right?
yeah, you should actually take the most humble, normal mob, like a very simple skirmisher, because it looks like a real human, and then the proportion and everything make you completely invisible, and nobody would really notice.
I've just had confirmation from the head honcho himself that you can dress with the armor of actual NPCs that you find as well.
Yeah, of course.
So yes, murder them and take their place. Or you can't murder them, so don't murder them. But you can get their armor. Can we play PvP in game? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, you can. Oh, what an interesting question for my second favourite player starting class from Coupe. Is there any wolf armor in the game, Alex, that you know of?
There is one. Yeah.
There is a
Yeah, it was.
starting class called the Ranger Warwolf.
Yeah.
With a beautiful
It's a
dress.
yeah, wolf pelt and wolf hood, and that will be covering your shoulders. And, it's one of the greatest fashion. I remember when we were pushing to create this, I was like, yeah, we have to do the el lobo. So I was pushing to have as much as possible this wolf guy in it.
My first Dungeons and Dragons character was a Shao barbarian that had a wolf pelt cape as well. So I feel like it's time to resurrect him in the world of Lords of the Fallen and play as the Ranger Warwolf. A new poll has entered the chat. Will you have nightmares of this armor tonight? And no, of course not.
Not at all.
Okay, so we have roughly 10 minutes of the stream remaining.
Let's do a bit of detailing for the end, because here you see there's like the global silhouette of it. Now, a lot of stuff of the design is blocked. Now it would be the natural moment where I'm going to start and go do some pure detailing. I will change brush for the first time, taking like this. I'm going to do a bit of
all of this with one brush. Is the detailing in concept art the same as in Warhammer, where you make the base really good and the eyes and face really good, and then the rest can just be slapdash?
They are. It's true. You have always like point of interest. The human eye is naturally attracted by faces, by the point of that's outside of the silhouettes. So anything that's going out of the global shape, that's where your eye is going to be driven. But since we're doing a character that's made to be character in 3D, you can turn all around. So concept is a bit different because you have to make sure that everything is going to be appealing from more or less every angle or attract the eye. For example, here, one very for sure choice I'll probably do is, you see everything is a bit at the same value right now. And for example, so to be sure the armor is going to pop out, I'll probably darken the legs.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And so naturally the armor is going to stand out.
Of the eye and the eyes on the tablet pop more, and yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And I'll ask in the 3D that the eyeballs probably have those specularity of they're a bit shiny, and so they grab the light when you're going close to a light source and stuff like this. Yeah, so they are. It's always like going from the tiniest detail to the more global harmonization of the character, and you're just going in and out, zooming in for this. But yeah, so everything was made with this this first brush. Now you see I'm gonna change. I think you see the shape of my brush, right?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
This kind of square one, because I take this one because it reminds me of the square brushes I use in traditional painting, meaning that you can do very thin lines, but also big brush strokes. And this is something that comes actually from traditional painting that I do all the time. But if you see, I zoom in, it's basically a mud of of rough strokes here.
It's so that's an incredible amount in 2 hours. So I'll forgive you this time, but don't let it happen again.
Considering my stress and everything, it's okay. It's okay.
Well,
but now we can go and
everyone here. This has been incredibly fun to watch come to life in real time.
Yeah, it was really cool. I think it was really cool.
If I have some people in chat saying things such as, just to pile some respect onto you instead of questions. Just wanted to say this is such a cool live stream idea. Mad respect to you guys from Menstrual Help.
Thanks for all the ones that are still here. Yeah.
We have still circa 100 people watching. You've done incredibly well, Alex. Obviously, terribly talented and very easy to watch. Of course,
that's the thing. It's not at all the host, right?
Well,
what I've done without my host.
Without the art, I would just be standing here looking at a white screen, talking to myself for 2 hours. So, yeah, completely agree with the chat here. This has been really fun. Thank you for doing this. Amazing work for 2 hours of time. I could never imagine being that talented.
If I remember well, Callum was talking that maybe we could have a place on Reddit or somewhere after
that's a very
the
good
stream,
point
so we
to
can
summarize. You're jumping ahead on my list of things to talk
Oh,
about.
okay. Sorry.
No, you can host.
That's why I'm not the host.
I'll swap the cameras around. Hang on, let me just pop you on top. Yeah, no, absolutely. So after this live stream, we can, if you head over to the Lords of the Fallen subreddit /r/Lords of the Fallen, and we will be in the comments having a little bit of a chat. Is that right, Alex? You can hang out there for a little while afterwards.
Yeah,
totally. So we can, maybe we'll post the progress that we made today as the header, and we can have a little bit of a further chat in this kind of AMA kind of style in there offline after this live stream for anybody that had any other questions that weren't answered today. Not sure how long that will go on for, but if you head over there after the live stream has ended, and we'll get something set up so we can continue the conversation. One thing I'm noticing in the chat here is people have really wanted to just say thank you to you, Alex, for doing such a wild thing to bring the community into such an intricate part of the job, and I completely.
No worries, guy. For me, it's just great for me, to be part of it and having a bit of an occasion to be closer to the community itself. Yeah. And I'm always happy to answer the questions. And now that Callum and Matt created for me a Reddit account, but I didn't have before, the Hex Alex, I can go and very easily answer stuff. So I'll be sticking around after the stream and answering when I can, of course.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Yeah, and just wanted to reiterate, this has been a really enjoyable experience. It's been really good to talk directly to such passionate members of the community, and I'm glad you guys are as excited as we are for Lords of the Fallen. We can't wait.
Maybe
it coming out
we
soon? I don't know. Is it
I never heard about it.
It's got to be soon, right?
I think it's an important and striking date that everybody can remember. You know what we should maybe do? Since we have 5 minutes, can we ask to the community if they would like to have other streams like this? Is it something that people would like?
We absolutely have we can find the capacity to do things more like this if people enjoyed it, and it seems like they absolutely have. So we're immediately getting yeses.
We don't need a poll.
Yep, yes, of course. Yes, hell yes. Sorry, heck yes. Heck yes, that was.
Hex yes.
Hex yes. Oh my god. Take your Hexworks mug, Alex, and get out of here. That 11 out of 10 pun. Ravi says, thank you for your time and thank you for taking the advice of the community, especially making the octopus-like armor. Appreciate your work.
My pleasure.
I think looking back through the chat, that was a resounding hell yes. So I'm sure we can arrange more things like this in the future.
We have to find also ways. Of course, art one is very visual, but maybe we can find stuff that can be funny with, or I would be fine. I'll throw in new ideas. Like I could be drawing while it's somebody else that's receiving question, like a game designer or Cesar on the lore. Or
we'll take that conversation offline, shall we, Alex?
Exactly.
And, find out some cool ways to keep everyone engaged, because this has been really enjoyable, and I think it's going to be really awesome to see this in game. I was thinking I'd come into this live stream and say, what a beautiful piece of armor, but I'm going to stick with my build that I have planned. But now, you know what? I think I'm going to have to succumb and worship the gods of armor.
You have to support the community for this, huh? I think it's going to be a precious one.
Absolutely, yeah. This is
and
honestly loving him so much. I think I'm going to
let's see what are going to be the other armors, because maybe there'll be more.
Perhaps a light armor. Leaf and speedy. Unless, no spoilers.
My lips are sealed. I can't say anything.
We're not allowed. We'll get told off.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, absolutely. So, a quick recap then before we sign off for today.
Yep.
Lords of the Fallen, 13th of October. We're terribly excited. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for your input, community. This has been an incredible experience. Oh, look at that. Do the speech bubble.
Exactly.
Squid God, Chunky Squid Boy says thank you. Alex, thank you so much for your time.
It was a pleasure.
It really
And
really
Matt,
has
you're
been.
such a good host. Wow, it's
Oh,
incredible.
stop it. Stop it.
Yeah.
I'll slip you that 5 in cash.
Where
later.
does your talent stop, Matt? I don't know. After
Oh,
Gamescom, I was blown away. Now I don't know. It's just
stop
you
it.
guys.
You're too kind. Yes, thank you so much for joining us. You're incredibly talented. What a beautiful piece of armor. Let's finish on a wide shot of the armor, shall we?
Yeah, totally.
So you can see everything that we've done today in 2 hours. That is absolutely insane. Lords of the Fallen. It's coming out soon, 13th of October. It's great. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate your time, Alex.
Thanks,
your
guys.
time, community. Your time, chat. Thank you.
It was perfect. And see you on the Reddit or on Twitter.
Over to that's what was in my brain. Head over to the subreddit after this live stream. Thank you for the nudge, Alex. Head over to the subreddit Lords of the Fallen after this live stream to continue the conversation, and we will see you over there. Appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Have a lovely weekend, everyone, and goodbye.
Goodbye.